My name is Julianne Duffy.
And I'm Mike Duffy.
We're talking tonight. There's 3 tech stories, 2 that actually happened, and 1 that's completely made up. The catch, they're all written the same way. So tonight, you can't just go by how it sounds. You have to go by how it feels. Join us as we dive into 2 real, 2 truths and a lie.
It's my turn, right? um, as we go through each story, think about 2 things: real or fake. And who's actually in the wrong here? No right answers, just gut reactions. Let's get into it.
And if you're new, make sure you subscribe now wherever you're watching us. Make sure you subscribe and follow us. We do this every Sunday. 2 real, 2 truths, and a lie. Am I the asshole edition? Okay, let's go into the first story. Let me bring up the image here. So this first story tonight is she tracked her own kid and found something she wasn't ready for. Am I the asshole? My daughter is 15. For most of last year, she was exactly where she said she was. Then about 6 months ago, something shifted. Small things at first, vague answers, stories that didn't quite match up, covering her phone when I walked in the room. I didn't confront her. I know how it goes. So instead, I slipped an AirTag into the inside pocket of her backpack, the one she takes everywhere. I told myself it was temporary, just until I understood what was happening. What I found out over the next 3 weeks was that she wasn't going to her friend's house after schools on Thursdays like she was telling me. She was going across town to meet a boy, 19 years old. She'd never mentioned this, someone I had never heard of. I confronted her. I told her what I'd seen. She wanted to know how I knew. I told her at that point about the AirTag. That was 2 months ago. She hasn't spoken to me the same way since. She says I violated her trust, or her privacy and trust, and I treated her like a suspect. And she would have told me eventually, and now she will never, or now she will never, because she can't trust me. Sorry. Side note, last minute we had tech difficulties and I had to get a new script out. So don't mind me if I have a difficult time because I had a different one. But anyways, she doesn't trust her mom anymore. I told her that trust goes both ways, that I was trying to protect her from someone 4 years older who had no business meeting with a 15-year-old after school without her parents knowing. So she says the way I found out is the problem, regardless of what I found. I'm not sure she's wrong, but I'm also not sure she's right. So am I the asshole for tracking my kid, or is knowing the right thing to do sometimes the same as doing the wrong thing?
Ooh. Would you have done the same thing? Or is
Well,
there a line even for
okay.
parents?
I'm gonna say as a parent, and if my daughter started acting weird and being suspicious, I don't know. I don't know. What do like when you just start following them, and especially when they're not being truthful, right? So that makes it is difficult because you do care about where your kid is, right? And so the mom does have a very valid concern. 19-year-old, 15, and she doesn't even know this 19-year-old. So it's not even like, they've known this kid in their neighborhood forever or something, right? They don't know this kid. Um, Yet I get it. Then the teens are all like, I don't trust you and blah blah blah. So I don't know. How do you see it as a father?
Sorry, I'm having my computer does not our backup computer does not like this.
Oh,
um I so let me know if you can hear me if I'm clear.
okay, you're good now.
I'm good now. I'm good now. Okay. So it's teenagers, and it's I'm sure even before technology, it's easier to track teenagers now. But I'm sure that our back in the day, our parents, had ways of figuring out where we were. So it just I think it just gonna end up happening, and who is I it's tough. This one's super tough because I'm like, you can see anybody, any parent being able to do this. AirTag. There's other types of tracker. There's tons of different types of trackers. He has a cell phone. You can literally, if it's an iPhone, you can literally track them anyways. But again, at least they know that they've already given you consent because you gave them the phone and it wasn't. So there's already tracking going on with teenagers. So
Well,
um,
and that's fair enough because if you put that tracking the thing on the phone track, the family phone track or whatever, right? Like, then you can see where they are, which we know because actually one of your friends usually knows where we are and will follow us around, right?
it, I did the same thing to him today because it was Mother's Day, and I was like, "Ooh, is he taking out his wife for Mother's Day?" So I was like,
So you're spying on each other.
uh,
So,
"Oh, it's fine."
we're all, what? I I'm
Yeah,
not saying
but
everyone's the
we
asshole. That is where I'm gonna go.
exactly. Yeah, it is because the kids not tell. It's both. Like there's blame on both ends, and with my friend, this is how it goes. Just for a side note, when he sends me messages saying, "Hey, I see you're over here." So today I was like, "Oh wait, I haven't messaged him in a while," and it's Mother's Day, so I went to message him, and I'm like, "Oh, he's tracking me. I'm tracking him." So we tell each other when we're tracking each other.
You're trying to justify your
Exactly,
tracking?
just because I didn't, I didn't start the tracking relationship. He asked for the try, so I said different because he for it, and I was like, "Sure, whatever."
So, what do you think? So, you agree that they're both like, you're calling everybody an asshole? Is that what you're thinking too?
There's no one's sneaking around, one's doing the sneaking around, one's doing the tracking, right? So
Well, and it's not the tracking per se, because, especially with the phone apps, like with your friend, right? Where he can find you, you never hit you, like, let him have access, and that's the whole thing with, okay, having that conversation with your child to have an app with it in case something happens, right? Like, and it should be this open conversation, really, that they should be willingly to have that for their parents to know. No, and at some point, because you never know what could happen. That at least you could track them back to where they were last with their cell phone, especially in this day and age. So having something like that with a family member or a close friend in case, like in case something happens, you never know, right? That actually would have been like, that's where that probably, in my opinion, should be, is that but the child wasn't telling the mom the truth, so the child didn't want the mom to know about the 19-year-old, right? So that's really where you get into that deeper where, yeah, they're all, I'm gonna say that. The verdict, unless you have any other comments on that, the verdict overall on Reddit, any other opinion on that?
I don't because this is just like, tracking. It's tracking, it's happening. Well, both parties agree to it. Well, that's going to be uh, you know, no. Let's move on. That was a
Yeah,
good one.
exactly. Did you consent or not? It is, it's a good one. Well, overall, Reddit was divided. However, the majority did actually say the mother was not the asshole, even though we think that they're both. And it was a comment, a 19-year-old meeting a 15-year-old secretly is a red flag. So really they are pointing out how that is a red flag and the mom is doing her due diligence, even if it does kind of come off. So they were right to be concerned. The method was imperfect, but the instinct is correct, right? So we talked about the big thing that we have is intuition. That's come up in our other lives, right? So that is true for sure. But there was the soft you are the asshole. So some people would say, you could have found another way. The covert element is that what broke was the trust, not the concern, right? So that's kind of in between. And then everyone's asshole was, there was some in there too. She was sneaking around, you were spying. You chose not to talk to each other. That's the real story. And that's really, I feel like, what we've decided as well. Interesting. But, very much like it's a tough one. It is a tough one because you have to let your kids have some space and grow, especially as they're getting older and they want that space. You can't keep them bubble wrapped, but you need to keep them as much protected and safe as you can. But that's also, you got to like give them some rein, but have that conversation that, you do need to know where they are. They can't sneak off and it because in case something happens, right?
Yeah.
Yep, 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 yep. Just
Well,
summarizing that up.
my connection's bad on this end. It looks fine
I know that's like,
picture-wise, it's just
can you hear me? Can you hear me? Oh my god, that's all. Do you remember those commercials? That makes me feel so old right
breaking.
there. Can you hear me?
That's Verizon. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Exactly, exactly. On that, let's go into our second story. So again, put in the chat while you're watching, let us know what you think. Do you think that this is a true story, a lie story? Do you think they're the asshole? What is your opinion about that? And hello, my mystic. Thank you for joining us. And everyone else that is watching. Okay, let's continue. Okay, so we're going to the next one. He hired someone to find dirt on her. They found his instead. Am I the asshole? We got married at 19 and 20. Broke pregnant, started from nothing. 20 years later, we had built a genuinely good life. We had an insurance business, a real estate portfolio, our kids were grown up, and everything we had, we built together from the ground up. When he decided he was done, he also decided he was entitled or I was entitled to none of it. His lawyer hired a digital investigator. I found out through my own lawyer. They were looking on me. Social media, financial records, communications, anything to frame who I was in those proceedings. About 6 weeks in, I came out to my car after a grocery run and found a handwritten note tucked under my windshield wiper. Ask about an account, and it had a number, and it was at the Bank of America. I took a photo, sent it to my lawyer. What followed after was crazy. We what followed after was crazy. Okay, now I'm missing part of the story, but a good thing is I did actually read the story. So, my rebuild, here we go. Part of the story is missing now. So, what happens is in this I am the asshole. So, with this lady, her lawyer starts looking into it. They actually find out a huge amount of dirt that her husband has another corporation, and it's got one of his employees is on this corporation that she knew, which ends up being connected to an affair that they had. And so what all came out in the end, because he really wanted to make sure she had nothing, is they settled 2 weeks before they were even scheduled to go to the judge, because she found so much on him that she didn't even know about. And she never found out who left the note. She assumes it was the investigator. And so it's like, am I the asshole for using the information I was never officially given, even though everything we used to find the information was obtained legally? Oh, are you muted? Why you're muted, mister? Let's see. You're not muted on my end.
Am I back now?
Say it again. You're still okay, there you are. Yes, you're back.
Yay. Okay. Uh, um, I was reading it along. Can't really hear you, so let me know if you can hear me. I'm having fun over
That's
here.
you know what? The side
Okay.
story of this live is our tech issues for today.
I wasn't expecting a tech issue today either, so surprise. Anyway,
So, essentially, the
it's
summary.
I don't know. This one's good too.
Yeah, because the summary is she got the information. Somebody left her this note. They investigate. They find this dirt. She settles. I think she is definitely not the asshole. I find it so suspicious that, of course he opened another account. That wasn't on their files. Like, that's what she talks about in there. And I would say she's definitely not the asshole. Like, you might as well take advantage of the information you come across, right?
Exactly, because you're just investigating, and you're just like, okay, here's all this information I got, and whether you got to determine whether or not it all lines up or not. So
Exactly, exactly. and just making sure, you're gonna take advantage of it, especially in those circumstances, and to find out he was doing, he even was cheating on her too. I'm gonna say you're definitely not the asshole, and he's gonna get what he, probably still got too much out of it, I'm gonna say. So, your verdict, you say she's not the asshole as well?
I would say no, no, she's not the asshole.
You know what? It was majority was not the asshole. You built that life. He hired someone to take it from you, and that person found dirt on him and said, "You used legally obtained evidence. The note just pointed you in the right direction," right? There was a little bit of a couple people said you benefited from someone breaching their professional obligations and never reported it. And I'm always like, those people, they're like so sucky, like really. And then at the top comment, she is at least interest she is the least interesting, or sorry, she is the least, because this is not even my rewrite did not even work out right. She is the least asshole in this story out of the whole thing. He hid the account, he hired someone. The woman, she actually did know in the story. I love that my story came back. Tech issues, lost everything, and now did pretty good rebuilding it in less than an hour. On that note, what do you think? What do you think? Do you think that this is a true story? Do you think it's real, fake? Do you think this person is a asshole? What do you think? Let us know in the comments. Okay, are you ready for the last story, Mike?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, the positive, we showed up today even with this not being perfect. Last story. Am I the asshole? Hold. She worked from home for 3 years. They were watching the whole time, okay? So the story is interesting because it kind of is similar to a story we had last week. I have worked remotely for 3 years. Good reviews, good relationship with my team. I genuinely thought I was doing well. Last quarter, I got called into a performance review I was not expecting. My manager had a document in front of her. She started walking through it, and within about 30 seconds, I realized she knew things she should not have been able to know. She knew how long I had been idle at my computer for a specific date, on specific dates. She referenced a Tuesday 3 months ago that I had stepped away from my desk for 46 minutes in the middle of the day. She mentioned websites I had visited. She had data going back 14 months. I asked her directly where this information was coming from. She told me the company used a productivity monitoring platform that had been running on my laptop since I signed my remote work agreement. That it was disclosed for the that it was disclosed in the policy I received when I transitioned to full-time remote. So again, it was in a policy in the documents. I went home and found the remote work policy. I found the clause. It was there. One paragraph buried inside the section about equipment use and data security. It said the company reserved the right to use productivity monitoring tools on company issued devices. The 46 minutes that 46 minutes on Tuesday was a medical appointment. I came back and worked until 8 that night to make up for it. None of that showed up in her document. I am now on a performance improvement plan based on 14 months of data collected on my computer I used in my own home every single day without knowing I was being watched. I never did anything wrong. I just worked the way people actually work, not the way monitoring software thinks they should. So, am I the asshole for not reading the policy carefully enough? Or is being monitored in your own home without really knowing it a line that should never have been crossed in the first place?
At home and want to check what's on it. You know what? I've worked in. If you can hear me, um,
Yeah.
well, and this is like kids ago now. Like I don't remember signing anything, and they monitored everything. Maybe it was in there, so I was like, okay, of course, if you don't like my, computer usage,
And in
and
fairness, when you did that years ago, it wasn't in your own home.
it wasn't from home. I was working the. If I'm cutting you off because I can't hear you, um, I'll just let you go. Just talk.
Oh, no, I actually brought up the fact that you worked in an office not working from home. So, when you're working from home, using your own devices it is not the same as being in a specific location, right? And so we're again like the story last week where you didn't read the fine print.
Yes, we had a story like that. Fine print's fun. So if you uh, if you didn't read it, are you the asshole? Well, yes, because you should have read it. Employed.
Well, and she's using part of it is they gave her the device, and that was her signing the contract was getting this device. So, you're
Well,
using something
yeah,
that you
they're
don't
spying on her.
actually own. Exactly, exactly. So, she's naive by not reading the contract and also, even like we mentioned, whether she understands what she's reading or not, or specifically comprehended it the way it is now after the fact versus at that time, right?
So is she the asshole?
Uh, I'd say, she yeah, you're taking company property, they put spying devices, and not expecting them to watch you with that is you kinda are the asshole if you did not expect it. That's what I'm gonna say.
I was thinking of the one last week. I think it was last week. One of the previous ones where it was like the where like the watch or whatever in order to get a discount on the insurance. What and it's just like, well, you took that not knowing, not ever not reading the contract.
Exactly, exactly. So, however, the most of the Reddit actually said that she was not the asshole. You were monitored for 14 months in your own home without meaningful disclosure. That is kind of true. They didn't tell her consistently. Like, they probably should have, with every month, been like, this is what we've seen you do. Right. So, that was essentially it. That people didn't think she was really the asshole. A buried paragraph in a remote work policy wasn't informed consent. It's surveillance dressed up as a policy. So that's how the majority in Reddit felt, even though we're going to say they're the asshole. So there was people that did agree with us that it was policy. They have to read and start do know what you're signing, especially when it comes to your job, your work. Know what you're agreeing to. That's the uncomfortable truth of working remotely on company software. One of the top comments was the monitoring software doesn't know why you were away from your desk. It just knows you were. And a system that punishes context, it cannot see it. Something that punishes context, it cannot see it as a performance tool. So it is a trap, which is true. That's why you've got to know what you're getting into, right? So like that they're gonna be watching you, right? That you're gonna do that. I'm not agreeing that it's okay. When you read that in the contract, you have the choice on whether you decide to work for that company. Can you hear me? Oh, I can't. Okay, I can hear you in the other room, but I can't hear you again. Were you somehow muted again? Okay, let me check here. I don't know why you don't okay. So Mike can't is like I guess you're not allowed to talk today, Mike, because I don't know why. Okay, say it again. Try something, Mike. Say something.
Can you hear me?
It's not working. Oh, there we go. It did eventually come back. Well, let's guess. Okay. In the end, we both said she's an asshole. That is the third episode. So let's refresh our three so everybody can guess and you decide which of these are the lie. And Mike, you just hold up your fingers if you're doing 1, 2, or 3, okay? Give me a thumbs up if you've got it. 1, 2, or 3, Mike, okay? Well, the first story was, again, just to remind everybody, was the mom that put the AirTag in her daughter's bag, right? So that was the first story. The second story was the 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 divorce, the husband looking for dirt, which one of the things I forgot to mention about it, which makes it really suspicious, is always I always wonder when they're looking for dirt because they're trying to cover up. So that's number 2. So the husband looking for dirt, but then kind of getting caught in his own dirt. And then the story number 3 we just went over, which is they were watching the whole time and not reading your contract and knowing the fine print. So, Mike, I'm gonna give it a little drum roll. You tell me which one do you think it is? Put up your fingers. 1, 2, or 3. He's going with 3.
3.
Okay, Mike's betting 3. Okay. What do you think? What everybody in the put it in the comments what you think it is, and let me bring up the answer. So the lie is I think the window accidentally got closed. Everything that possibly can go wrong has gone wrong. I'm just gonna show you the lie was story number 2. They hired someone to find dirt on her. They found his instead was the lie. So it was actually the second story. And the reason it's believable is because people are now looking all over online for digital footprints and looking for your dirt. Companies are looking you up. Companies are now even asking AI, like want to see what your history with AI is. I've heard of things like that. So we're definitely in a time where this is for sure believable that they're investigating and the tides turn and really you find all the dirt on somebody else. Oh, Mind Mystique was right. She guessed correct. Good job, Mind Mystique. Okay, so on that and all these lovely glitches and tech glitches we had today, I'm going to round that up. I hope you enjoyed it, even though it was a little imperfect. So always join us for an imperfectly perfect episode of Too Real. And oh, I didn't end up with a closing screen. We will be back next week, same time, same place, with better technology because it will be better and it won't crash on us. So again, 7 p.m. Eastern on Sundays here on Too Real, and we'll go from there. Join us on Saturday mornings for YouTube University. We go live and you can ask us anything and we teach you a little bit on how to be seen. And then we also have a live on Thursdays at 7, our Honestly Though with Breathe Within Yoga, and a weekly energy on Sundays at 11:11. All of that is in the links and descriptions. So please join us there. Subscribe on your way out. And thank you so much for joining us. We will see everybody again. Even if we do have a little bit of tech glitches, we're still going to show up and be imperfectly perfect. And hopefully you'll get a little bit of entertainment out of it and you can laugh at us as well. Okay. Thank you for joining. We will see everybody with less glitches next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.